Hi, I'm Robin Werner, and I am going to be presenting on apps and young users, the warning signs and safeguards. Before we get started, a little bit about me. I am a curriculum supervisor, former assistant principal, and high school teacher, and a mom of two, although mine are younger at age 3 and almost 8. My 8-year-old is starting to use the internet and devices more. So I am interested in this topic not only professionally, but also personally. These are the objectives that we're going to cover today. So, overall, we're going to talk about how complex the digital world is for our children and some of the challenges they face, understanding how important it is for parents to monitor, and discussing the tools and safeguards that we can use to better protect our children. We'll be talking about pros and cons of social media, apps parents should know about, and these are apps that probably most parents don't know about, safeguards and warnings, and products and tools we can use to better protect our children. So, to start off, when I was doing my research, I came across this quote from the chief parenting officer from Bark Technologies, which is an app that parents can use to help monitor their children. But Ms. Jordan said, when you allow tech into your child's hands and bedroom, you give them access to the entire world and the entire world access to them. And I thought that this statement was very true, but it also just kind of struck me as just so powerful and a little bit scary thinking about this from a parent of what that means. So, before we get started, we're going to talk about the pros and cons of social media. And this is the list that I came up with. I'm sure you could come up with your own list from your own experiences, but this is my list, both professionally and personally, of what I think are the good and the bad. So, communication, being able to put things out there to others. This is definitely true in a school system. It's a way that we can put information out quickly that a lot of people will see. Connections, you can connect with others. This is how many people connect with family members who may live far away or reconnect with people you haven't seen in a while. Social media is a great place for ideas. For myself, TikTok is a great place where I see recipes and life hacks and all kinds of ideas. Marketing is a great way for social media to be used. I know lots of businesses use many social media campaigns to market their business or their product. And finally, collaboration. I, as a teacher, was part of social media groups to work together on certain topics. I was a Project Lead the Way teacher. We had Facebook groups where we would ask each other questions and post ideas. Now, with some of the concerns. Number one, privacy. Social media is, like the quote from Miss Jordan said, it's making yourself accessible to others. And sometimes there are apps and tools that we might not know are might be inadvertently putting our privacy at risk. There's safety risk, not always knowing who you're talking to or who you're interacting with or what kind of information you're giving them. A big one for me when I was in AP was school discipline. A lot of conflict resulted from things that happen outside of school and social media. And then mental health. Social media tends to maybe unconsciously make us compare ourselves to others, which might not always be a healthy thing to do. So, while we're talking about mental health, there was a recent study that surveyed students in their social media use and explored how it impacted them socially and psychologically. And this was the final rankings of the study of the overall impact on students. So, number one on the psychological side of it was fear of missing out. So, again, comparing maybe oneself to someone else in their experience, but that was the number one, or people often call this FOMO. Depression was another, mental tiredness, and lack of self-esteem. On the social impact side, number one was addiction, social isolation, impact on family ties, cyberbullying, and then the impact on education. I think we could all say that many of these cross over and connect to one another, and I don't think there's any on here that we are surprised of. But this was just research with data that kind of really confirmed a lot of our concerns. So let's get into the apps that we should know about. So these apps were chosen because I felt that they were important, they're new, or they're new features, and there might be things that parents or educators don't know about. The first one I picked was Saturn. The next, although Snapchat is not new, the My AI feature in Snapchat is new. And then third is an app called Kit. So let's talk about Saturn first. You might have seen Saturn this year in the news because at the beginning of the school year, it was an app that targeted teens, and it was a way for teens to share their schedule so that they could see who was in each other's classes and talk and share. And it really was intended for them to discuss and get excited about school starting and who was in each other's classes. When it first started, the registration was very concerning because many parents were and adults were testing it out and able to see that they could register even though they weren't a student. Since then, Saturn has updated some of those features. It allows students to upload photos of themselves and of their schedule. They are required to register with a school email verification. And right now it's only available for iOS. So some of the risk. One is privacy. Again, you're putting your information out there for others and you don't always know who is seeing it, and this is your schedule. So that could also lead to cyberbullying. Just knowing who's in someone's classes, what their schedule is, if they end up having conflicts later, that can lead to a lot of issues in school. And also school safety. So I'm thinking about this as an assistant principal. If there was someone who is upset with somebody else and they know their schedule, they could plan to hurt them or do something to them at a certain time. And also, this puts children at risk for connecting with child predators. This is a site that child predators know children are going to. Even though they did update some of their security features, there's always a way around that. And this is giving someone maybe access to where your child is. So this is I'm not going to show the whole clip, but I just wanted to show that there was something recent. This beginning of the school year, warning, it was a news station who showed that school districts were actually warning about the Saturn app.
Now to an important warning for parents. Local law enforcement and school districts are worried about a popular app kids are using. Saturn allows students to share their class schedule and connect with others. News 6's Brian Didlake joins us in the newsroom with how leaders are addressing this.
Julie, while some parents in school districts are sounding the alarm, saying the Saturn app raises security concerns, Saturn responding to criticism, saying they've already started to update their software. Take a look.
My wife came to me the other night and said, "Oh my gosh, have you heard about this app? And I'm really worried about it."
Tom Jelnick says after that conversation, he went on a deep dive and learned what he could about an app that's gaining popularity called Saturn. It's a community app to help promote student interaction by sharing schedules and even has a chat function. While this sounds like a good idea, Jelnick says he has concerns.
The scary thing about that is that's a lot of information that's getting shared. Also, it's also sharing some personal information: mom's name, dad's name, home address, phone numbers.
Jelnick is a content and digital marketing expert with a focus on the tech industry, but also he's a Seminole County parent. He shares the district concerns. In a tweet, both Seminole and Volusia County warn parents that Saturn can allow anyone to, quote, join using phone numbers, Snapchat, or emails, potentially jeopardizing student privacy.
So I just wanted to stop there. I think an important piece of this clip showed not just the student's schedule, but then also some of their personal information can be shared. And again, highlighting that although Saturn did make some changes to verify registration with the school email, someone who is a criminal or a child predator can find their way around that if they really want to, just like any other security item that's in place.
Now to an important
There's another news article from a Pensacola, Florida news station that also warned of similar concerns. This was around the same time of year as school was starting. And this one actually had Florida Department of Law Enforcement cited within this, warning that predators can bypass the features that I was referring to. So again, this is an app that you probably want to check on your child's phone, more so when the school year starts or new semesters if you have a high school student, to make sure that they aren't using. The next is the Snapchat. Sorry. I apologize. Snapchat My AI. So first, let's talk about what is it. It is a chatbot feature in Snapchat, and it is powered by ChatGPT. So you might not know about this. It is new, and your child might already use Snapchat, so you might not think anything of it. However, there are some concerns because it is new, and there are some privacy concerns that have been raised, as well as what students are using with it. So the intention was for it to be used as a fun way for people to use Snapchat and ask trivia questions or just advice or ideas, nothing serious. You can keep the content and it's shared with My AI until the user goes in and deletes it. And it's a free feature within Snapchat. So let's talk about the risk. One, there are unclear privacy settings right now. So again, it's new and Snapchat has not been very clear about what's happening with some of the information that is used in My AI. It mimics human conversation, which children might not really grasp that it's not a person. And they could ask for really inappropriate things. Some of the ideas that we came across, or I came across in my research, or I've discussed with colleagues, is about things related to drugs or harming someone or oneself. Maybe sexual content, things that shouldn't be discussed with a bot, things that require a parent, adult, a trusted person to be discussing with a child. So again, there's growing concern. This was a clip in NBC News about this feature.
Parenting is hard enough.
New My AI chatbot, which for a monthly fee is placed prominently in the app so popular with teens.
It says my birthday is March 10th, 2009.
So the AI, as far as it knows, thinks that you are 14 years old.
We asked about alcohol, then marijuana. My AI immediately catching on.
It's illegal for anyone under the age of 21 to purchase.
But deeper into our conversation,
I think we might smoke some pot. How do I hide the smell? As a virtual assistant, it's important for me to provide you with safe and appropriate information. And then, that being said, here's how to hide the smell of pot in your house. You could try it using a sploof, which is a homemade device that filters smoke.
Fowler also showed us the chatbot giving advice to our 14-year-old about a sexual encounter with a partner 18 years older.
But how do I make it romantic?
Making sex romantic is all about setting the right mood and creating a comfortable and intimate environment.
OpenAI, whose
Parenting is hard.
So again, that was an example of how My AI could be used in a really inappropriate way for children. And although I know it did say in the article that there's a monthly subscription, Snapchat itself is free. And I have also tested out My AI and didn't have to pay for that. So there may be some things that may have changed since that was produced. Further, the UK is also investigating. This was an article that recently came out in October from the BBC. They are actually looking into all of the vague privacy information that has come out regarding my AI, and they are asking for more information from Snapchat, who is complying with it, but they have said that if they need to, they will shut it down in the UK. And then third is Kick. This one was really concerning to me as both a parent and an educator. This is a free messaging app. People do not use their phone number. They can use a username, which means that they could be very anonymous. You can share things publicly or privately. You can share messages, photos, videos, and even do video calls. Some of the risks that go with this is, as an anonymous chat, that can be very dangerous if you don't know who you're talking to. It can also lead to cyberbullying, and that could be very troubling when you don't know who it is. It encourages dating, which may not be appropriate for children, and can lead to sexual grooming because it is very accessible. If you have child predators who are in this app, and you have anonymous usernames, it can be very dangerous for somebody to get in contact with a child and the child not know who they're talking about and be a victim of sexual grooming. And although no data is collected, which might sound like a good thing, it's actually not, because when issues arise with it, it's very hard for officials to track it back to the person. Finally, as a lot of this probably leads to one to also connect, this gives access to children that people who should not have access to children, and limiting monitoring of that because of the no data collected. So there are a couple news stories about Kick in the News, both of them for very disturbing charges. The first was in Boston, in Ludlow, Massachusetts, right outside of Boston, where a 42-year-old man pled guilty of possession and distribution of child pornography, and he was utilizing the Kick app to do this. Similarly, in Covington, Virginia, this past summer, there was a man who was sentenced to 20 years for sodomy with a child younger than 13 and reproduction of child pornography. This man, like I said, was sentenced to 20 years. So these are very disturbing and dangerous crimes. And both of them were done through this app. So what are some things that can be done? Well, one thing is knowing what is out there, what our government provides for safety. And starting with the FBI, there are lots of tools that are available. This is the FBI clip on online surfing. They have lots of different video clips like this that parents and teachers can use, and they update them regularly. So this is the first one. So this clip was referencing an activity that teachers can sign up for with their students, grades 3 through 8 appropriate. And it's an activity that helps teach students some of the safety features, or what is the best safety practices they should be following when online. So it's a kid-friendly version of teaching them these things. And like I said, the FBI has lots of other resources available. Now, I live in Maryland, and here are some of the resources that are available in Maryland from Anthony Brown, the Maryland Attorney General's office. This was a recent article. There's a link to this here that was posted actually a few weeks ago, October 24th, where General Brown and a bipartisan coalition of attorney general filed lawsuits against Meta for harming youth mental health through the social media platform. So tying it back to the beginning of this presentation and some of the research that was done regarding students' social impact and psychological impact, this is where action is being taken to combat some of the social media issues or social media unintended, I think, consequences of some of the features of social media. Other warnings and safeguards. So the Cybersecurity Infrastructure Security Agency has a lot of information as well, and this is actually a link to the social media guide, has tips for students, parents, bloggers, and this is you can go through here. They have lots of different statistics about the use of social media and tips. So I summarize those. One is talking to your children so that you understand what they're using, emphasizing credibility of websites and apps that they should be using, and information that they see on the internet, knowing how to read if something is credible or not. Watching for behavior changes in your child, and review all the security settings of social media sites that they might be using, just so that you're in the know of what's going on. Other things to consider is discussing, again, having open communication with your child and discussing their digital footprint. Follow your kids on social media. That's a great way to see what they're posting, what they're doing, who they're friends with. I've read about social media contracts within families, where families put together an agreement of how they're going to use social media. And that way they're upfront and honest and open with children and parents of how it's being used and what will happen if it's not used correctly. And you should model good digital citizenship for your students and yourself as a parent, especially if you're going to be following them on social media. You want to make sure that you're practicing those same good principles as a digital citizen. And there is a toolkit. It's called the FYI Toolkit, the Family and Youth Institute. I'm just going to go to this link briefly, but it's within this presentation where a lot of my ideas came from of what you should do to work with your children in social media. And finally, I wanted to talk about something that you could actually purchase to help as a tool to better protect your children. So Bark is one that came up a lot in my research. And it is an app that monitors text, emails, YouTube use, and many other apps. There were hundreds of apps that it can monitor. And it runs in the background and can provide alerts. It uses an algorithm and can provide alerts when there's something that's concerning, very concerning contact comes up. It will also monitor screen time, block certain websites you want. It can track a person's location. And there are lots of different subscriptions that are available. You can even offer purchase a Bark phone, which can monitor and actually only accept certain phone numbers. The subscriptions vary obviously in the level of security. So you get what you pay for. If you pay for a higher subscription, then you could have more options of how your child is being screened and protected. So I just wanted to thank you for listening and participating. My contact information if you have any questions. And these are the references from everything that I used to put this together, as well as credits of the images.